Well, fill it with gas, fill it with oil, check the water, we're ready to roll. It's got no buzzes, no flashing lights, just let you know when it feels alright. One side looks like an old tin can and the foot's held down with rubber bands. We tell it our problems and it understands as we roll along the highway. We all drive an old yellow Datsun with one green door.
How's it going, YouTubers? I just finished watching Thomy Shue's video on his snowblower, and so I thought I'd show you a little bit about the one that I use. This is a 1997 Ariens ST824. It's a 8 horsepower, 24-inch cut, about the same size as Thomy Shue's. Well, Thomy, you were talking about putting some shrouding on your engine, and it likely had some in the original configuration. And I'll show you mine. It's also a Tecumseh engine like yours is, with the electric start. So here you can see there's a small bracket that goes over from the 2 holes in the fuel tank here over to the top of the head, and that's it's maybe, I don't know, 3/32 of an inch. Not very thick. Well, maybe 1/8 of an inch. This is just sheet metal here, and it covers just the cylinder head going from the cover here over and around the spark plug. Just covers the cylinder head. The cylinder head is open at the front, so air can get into the cooling fins from here. And there's also a little bit of tin right there. And that, I couldn't tell if that was still on yours. This helps keep the air in. And the reason they want some of the air to stay in is because they don't want the motor to run too cold, then it runs very inefficient. But the cylinder head has free flow, and the flywheel actually does provide the airflow. That's what the fins are on the flywheel for. This part of the metal shrouding here also incorporates the air box, which goes around the muffler, and you get some of the heat from the muffler will radiate off down into where the carburetor is. Now, through these holes here is where the carburetor is. These 2 screws hold this piece onto the carburetor, and if you look underneath, I'll see if it'll focus for me. You'll notice up here there's no air cleaner. All there is the bracket on the front of the carburetor going to the metal here. There is no air cleaner on the snowblowers. The choke, I don't know if you can see the choke on the outside here, which is on the back part of this right beside the throttle. All it does is it's just a simple rod. I don't know if you can, how well you can see it moving the linkage there, but it's just like, basically it's an on, half on, or off. It's basically a 3 detents. And with snowblowers, you know, they start on full choke. As soon as they start, give it a few seconds, turn it to you turn it down to half choke, and run it on half choke for a few minutes to warm it up. But there is no air cleaner. There is metal shrouding over the cylinder head, which would definitely help keep the motor running better for you. But one of the other things I want to show you is, you were mentioning or pointing out the rust on it. This snowblower here, in 1997 I bought this, and we're up in Manitoba, just outside of Winnipeg. So it gets used fairly regular every winter. And I wax the snowblower. Every spring, every fall, I take regular car wax and I wax it. Like, it's covered in dust right now, but if I wipe this off, you know, you can tell it looks like new paint. You can see some residue here from when I last waxed it. I don't bother getting out the little toothbrush and cleaning it. But by waxing it, when you're snow blowing, the snow, especially in your area where the snow is likely heavy and sticky, it won't stick to the snowblower. It'll slide off better. So it just makes it a lot easier to run the snowblower if it's not constantly getting covered in ice. And I wax the whole thing, the handlebars, everything except the engine. I even do the rims. So if you look at the rims, they look as clean as they came out of the dealership when I bought it. And like I say, this has quite a few hours on it. And you can see from the upper chute here, there is some paint missing. And I don't bother touching that up. But what I do is I coat it with another coat of wax, because if I touch it up, it's just going to chip off again. But that's inside where the snow is hitting. If I look inside my impeller, the paint wears off anyway. And I do wax that as well. And I also wax the auger. I wax the auger, I wax the impeller. The snow comes off it a lot easier. And keeping the inside here clean. And I have a gravel driveway. Although I do try to pack snow down, I do have a gravel driveway. So I do get stones going through it. My sons have hit hockey pucks with this thing, and sticks and hardened bones from the dogs. And the wax does make a big difference, and I don't bother touching up. There's a, if you can see just in there, there's a spot of rust, and I never touched up the paint, but a fresh coat of wax in the spring when I put it away helps keep it good, and it keeps it running well. Also, make sure there's shear pins in the auger here. Don't put bolts in there, because these shear pins do break, and they're only $1 or $2 a piece. I usually keep about 2 or 3 around, and I usually I'll break one every 2 or 3 years usually. But I've been lucky with this one. I haven't broken any in about 4 or 5 years. But if you put a bolt in there, and those are designed to shear when this is turning, because you don't want to damage the differential. The differential is a lot more expensive than a $2 shear pin. So if you break a shear pin, don't put a bolt in there. Get another shear pin. When you buy them, you can usually buy them in a little package of 2 or 4. Keep them around. But never replace them with a bolt, because if it does, you got a transmission, and then you might as well just be looking at a new snowblower. Anyway, continuing on, because of the depth of the snow, these are drift cutters, and basically when the snow is up over the top here, then the snow is going to pile over top of the snowblower, and it's going to make it awkward. So the drift cutters will cut the snow, and the theory is that it will fall in. Mind you, when it starts getting this deep, you can't run the full width of the snowblower in the snow, so you may only be clearing half with the snowblower, but this will cut the snow and allow it to drop off. And those are just a straight bolt on with a couple of carriage bolts. With a gravel driveway, I adjust my shoe here at the bottom. Right now this one's not adjusted properly, but I adjust those up a bit. just to make sure that I have an inch or so clearance on the blade, so I don't pick up gravel. You had mentioned, Tommy, that that your neighbor, just going to put the camera down here, your neighbor had had it freeze. And there's a very simple way to prevent that, and that is when you're done snow blowing, you usually have a little bit of cleaning to do with, maybe around the stairs or something with a broom or with a shovel. Before you do the clearing, or the little cleaning up, take a snow brush, and I usually use like a car snow brush, and I clean off all the snow on all the snow blower, wipe it all off with the thing still running. I just bring it down to an idle, and I let it run. I clean all the snow off, including in the chute and where the auger and where the impeller are. Clean it all off the best I can, and I'll let it run for 10 or 15 minutes. Just idling, and what happens is the heat generated from the engine will help melt stuff off, and it'll help minimize it freezing up again. And that's usually what happens. Snow blowers will freeze up because people shut them off as soon as they're done and put them away, and you got a hot engine with melted snow and water on it, and that water is running down into the drive, and it's going to freeze. And when it freezes, everything's seized up and you're not going to get it going again. I also wash it in the spring just before I wax it and put it away. I do an oil change on it, check everything over, grease everything so it doesn't sit with all that moisture all summer rusting. So I do all that preventive stuff before I put it away. And this is 14 years old, and it basically looks brand new other than a few stone chips in the auger and impeller area. So in short, with the Tecumseh motor, you want to have that little plate on the top just to help keep the air blowing across the cylinder head. It's possible your neighbor might even have that part lying around. Maybe he had the head off for something, or somebody took it off. If not, let me know, and I'll see what I can do I'll take some still photographs, and I'll somehow get them emailed to you, and see if I can get some dimensions to you so you can make it and basically copy, or it might even be like a $5 part for all I know. Snow blowers, they work great. Maintain them, they'll last for years and years, and here's proof here. It looks new because I treat it like it's new. And but the big key things are wax it, wax it, wax it. And the other thing is clean the snow and let it run for 10 or 15 minutes afterwards, and it'll help solve all the freezing problems. You might notice that when it's idling, don't try and get it to idle real smooth, because it's not. Because the motors work so hard, they actually run the carburetors rich. So when you throttle it up, you might get that puff of black smoke. Don't bother trying to tune that out, because if you do, when it's pushing snow, it's going to run lean, it's going to run hotter. They're made to run a little bit richer. They're meant to be running at full throttle, pushing snow or throwing snow. So don't try and lean them out because you're getting a little puff of black smoke. And then put it away dry. Thomy Shue there. I hope you find the information helpful for you. When like I say, I just use a car brush because I don't want to put any hands, even though it's with it idling, even though the auger and impeller are not engaged. There's no way I'm going to stick my hand in there. One other thing, opposite of these, where these shear bolts come through, back here on the back side of the impeller or the auger, there are grease fittings. Grease them till the grease just starts to come out a little bit. just going to close it up and say, Tommy, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and Mike, KB1NYD. Happy Turkey Day, as you called it. Happy Thanksgiving to my American neighbors, and on behalf of those of us north of the border. And have a good one. Talk to you later. Catch you later.